I'm going to be 3D printing some impossible prints, starting from the easiest all the way to the hardest, where I'm going to be trying to 3D print a 4D object. So I now have a shape that I can revolve. This took way longer than it should have, but I can now select both of these, and now I can just revolve it 360 degrees along the main axis, and there we go. It has the shape that I'm looking for. So now that I've got that shape that I'm looking for, I can make the balls that go inside. I'll probably make just 6 of them. And then I will see exactly what else I need to do. But I don't like this little lip at the top and the bottom, so I'm just going to remove that a little bit, reduce it a bit, so I just need to make the diameter a bit wider, and then it'll look a bit nicer. But yeah, I'm just going to make the balls that go inside of it, and then, yeah, I'll just see how it prints. Now looking at an image of a bearing, some image just popped into my head, and now I know how to approach this. So on the same sketch, I'll create another revolve that goes on the inside, but the 20mm hole will be going from the other side. So it will just enclose a ball on the right side, a ball on the left side, and it'll be able to hold the bearing ball on the inside. So now I'm just going to create that design right over here. All right, there we go. I now have the shape of the ball bearing that I was going for. I'm just going to do a little bit of a section analysis so that you can see what it looks like on the middle. And let me just flip that. There we go. That's what it looks like on the middle. So the balls will go over there, and then they'll just be able to leave this to spin freely if all goes well. The only problem is I don't know how the printer is going to be able to print the balls in that section without them sticking or being awful quality, because it doesn't have anything to support against. So what I'm thinking is print them in 2 different sections and then print the balls separately and then make them go in. But that defeats the purpose of my print in place challenge. So what I will do is remove that section analysis, and I'll create some ball bearings of 20mm to go inside, and then I'll see if it's able to print. Because if it is, that will be a really nice print in place ball bearing. But it just shows how easy it is to actually make a normal bearing on here, which could work, but that's not what I'm going for here. So what I'm doing here is just creating a line down the middle of this section here, and that will hopefully allow me to revolve this hemisphere to make a sphere only in that section. I don't want it to revolve around the main axis. I want it to revolve around that axis specifically. So I will just remove that revolution, make my sketch visible, and now I can just try and select this, and then I can revolve it around that line. That gives me a ball. Perfect. So now all I need to do is just repeat that just a little bit, and then I should be able to print them hopefully in place. If not, I have no idea how else I'll be able to go about this challenge. So I've now got the shape that I need, and I've got the 6 ball bearings, and I've got the bearing shape. Printing is gonna be a challenge because I'm not gonna allow for any supports unless it like physically won't let me print without them. And I'm just gonna see exactly how it's gonna print, because it's going to be quite odd with 6 balls floating within the shell of the ball bearing. And I have no idea how it's gonna even print that. And I'm not sure if 0.4 tolerance is gonna be enough, because it's printing an overhang in an arc shape. So I, again, do not know how that's gonna work. So I'm just gonna open up the slicer. I'll save this as print challenge. I will export it as an STL, and I will open up Bambu Studio. Alright, so now I've got my printer set up. I've got all of this. I'm not actually going to use PETG. I'm going to use my PLA Basic. And I'll confirm this. Then I'll go back to these settings. I will keep the layer height the same. I will lower the infill density. 15 is fine. I have no idea what pattern to use. I'll probably just use gyroid. I will see if it recommends supports. Oh, a couple of supports at the bottom. But that's fine. I can break those off and I'll see how it works. So I'm just going to change the speed settings. I'll purge all of my filament because I've got like a tiny bit left of PETG in the nozzle and that PTFE tube. So I'm just going to have to purge all of that filament and then replace it with my PLA. Alright, now I got the print going, and the first layer is very good. It's now just doing the outline, and it's going to see exactly what to do next. So I think it's going to try and print only the balls with support. I don't know how it's going to do the arc for the radius of the balls, but I guess we'll see. This is making some good progress, but yeah, it's just going to take a while. Another hour, 16 minutes, but it's just printing nicely so far. Okay, so here it is. You can see the ball bearings are there and they're completely fine. Only problem is, I think 0.4 millimeter tolerance on each side is too much because that. But if you spread them out, then it's able to spin. I can't do it with one hand, but I'll show you soon. Here is the print in place bearing. If you have them like that, it spins fine, but the centrifugal force, it forces the balls to clump together, and then the center part falls down, which isn't happening now. So I'm going to call this one a success. Okay, so the next thing that I'm going to be modeling, Beijing CCTV headquarters, because that has like an impossible overhang. Like, I don't even know how that works. It has some crazy supports. So I'm just going to model one after that, but make it short. I'm going to make it like 15% infill density, and then I'm just going to make it separately. So I'm just going to design a small model, probably like 10 centimeters at most, and then I'm just going to see how that turns out. All right, so I'm just going to create a new sketch on here, a new project, and I'm just going to create a sketch on the bottom face. It's just going to be a really basic design. Okay, so it's essentially a center point rectangle. I'll make the most 100 by 100. And then I can just basically just cut this up into a square. Okay, so it's just going to have a 50 millimeter side cut out of this, which means that's going to be 25 from there. Okay, this is really something quite basic. I just want to see if it can print a overhang of 40 millimeters. That I know is a massive stretch and it's probably going to fail. But if I can tune the overhang settings, maybe by some miracle it'll work. So there are going to be no supports on this at all. And I'm just going to use a slightly smaller overhang just to see how this works. So I'll just create a random, I don't know, window of 15 by 15 twice. 15 by 15. And then I'll just extrude those two all the way through and hope that it can at least handle the smaller overhangs, 15 by 15 mil, and then the total massive overhang that you'll see closer to the end of the print. And I'll put a little bit of an engraving if it makes it that far, because that will be quite catastrophic. Now, I'm fully aware that this has like no resemblance to the Beijing Tower, CCTV tower, but I'm not going for that. The only thing that I wanted to see was a building that has a massive overhang, and then see if I could make a similar shaped overhang to that, which is just like, in my case, a straight line, but that one was more V-shaped, like going from the top. So this one should work. I will just export that overhang as an STL, and then I will put it on the print plate. I'll make it 15 millimeter, 15% infill density, because that's going to use quite a bit of filament, or even 10% actually, because that should do the same thing. And I'll make it rectilinear. Slice the plate because all the settings can be kept the same. That's going to be a 4-hour print and use 100 grams of filament. So what I'll do is, firstly, I need to disable supports. Quality, same layer height. I'll just change some settings to make to give it a fair advantage, see how good the overhang ability is, and then I'll just leave it to print. But I don't think that this should be able to print very well. So now with these settings, I'm just going to print it to the printer. It's going to take 2 hours. And then I'll get started on the Klein Bottle, and I'm going to see exactly how the printer will slice it. If Fusion will even allow me to make something that's 4D-ish. So I'll model this to the best of my abilities, to the shape of a Klein Bottle, but I just want to see how the print is going to handle it. Maybe I'll even do a section analysis of the Klein Bottle so that you can see as it's printing. I'll put like a millimeter wall thickness at most and see what happens. So a bit of an update with the overhang. It is currently printing right now. It is on layer 145, and at layer 178 it's going to start printing the overhang, so I will show you, but it is printing quite nicely so far. I've modified the settings a bit to give it a bit of a boost. There's been no supports or anything like that, and it's got about an hour left of the print, and it still hasn't even gotten to the big overhang. So we'll see what happens with the small overhang first, and then I'll get back to you on the bigger overhang. The Klein Bottle though, I have learned a new skill, I guess, while trying to make a form for this, and it is turning out quite nicely, actually. It is a bit complicated and it's a bit like finicky to try and like move it around in the form, but it's coming along nicely. I haven't established any dimensions for it though, which I need to remember to do. And then I need to shape the bottom of it because I've already got the tube going into the bottom. It's an odd shape, but I haven't actually made the bottom of it to close it off. So that's what I'm working on right now. Big shout out to that guy that made the tutorial, but it's great so far. Alright, so this is where I'm at now with the Klein Bottle, and it is quite nice. However, I'm at this stage and I'm not entirely sure exactly how I should go about this, because I'm reaching the bottom section here and this needs to join with this. So there's some way of connecting these all the way around. Either way, I'll just keep playing around and I'll have a look. But an update on the overhang. It actually handled the first small overhang really well on both sides, which was quite the surprise, which means that all I have to do now is wait until the biggest overhang on that object. Okay, so I now have the Klein Bottle modeled. I'm just going to export it and as an STL, and I haven't actually established any dimensions, which is crazy. So I'm going to put it on the slicer, although right now, looking at the highlight for it, it's looking kind of crazy. So I'm going to put it on Bambu Studio. I'm just going to drag the STL over, and there we go. It's saying some non-manifold edges to repair the model. Okay, I will just go and repair the model. I'll upload the STL file. I'm going to upload this here. It's weird because I haven't even established any dimensions. So I'm uploading it now. I've got none in the queue, which is great. And it's done. So it's fixed it. Now I can put it on the slicer. Oops. Now I can put it on the slicer. And it's fixed and it looks like it's actually going to print somehow. I'm going to scale it down though, because again, it's a bit big right now. And it's going to use 100 grams of filament, which isn't actually a lot. But just for time's sake, I'll scale it down, again, a factor of 0.7, if it will let me. 0.7. Yep, there we go. And then save it and export it. There we go. It's fixed the model. And I can now put it into Studio. That's looking a bit bigger. But that's the wrong model. Okay. So now it's fixed the model. And it is going to take 3.5 hours and use 88 grams of filament, which is fine. So I'm just going to see what happens when I slice the plate. It's going to do it layer by layer in a really weird way. It's making the full thing completely solid. That's weird. I didn't establish any dimensions. Maybe that's why. It's just assuming the full thing is solid instead of assuming the full thing is hollow. That makes sense. So, yeah, I'll just print it and see what happens. So that is what it does. If it's a shape like a Klein Bottle and you try and put it in the slicer, no matter of the thickness, because I also tried it at 1mm wall thickness, it's going to make it completely solid. Maybe that's way of compensating, but that's interesting. I didn't know that before. So I'll just put the infill density really low, at 5%. And at rectilinear, It'll take 3 hours, and I will just print it off. It'll give me a cool Klein bottle, and yeah, I'll just see how it goes. Alright, so a bit of an update on the Klein bottle. I tried to print 3 times, and each of those times it failed. But on the 3rd attempt, it did actually get the closest, and at the bottom, it did mess up quite a bit, and through the top, it obviously failed quite substantially. That was only with a 1% infill density. Like, it couldn't even print on these supports properly, so I just stopped it. It'll just waste the filament. But I wonder what would have happened if I went 100% infill density, but I don't have enough filament for that. I need to order some more soon. So I'm going to call that one a fail. So I had success, success, and fail. I actually found that quite interesting though, so let me know if you have any more 3D printing challenges that you want me to get involved in. And if you like that, check out my series where I'm 3D printing an engine from scratch for my school project.